In this video, I'll demonstrate getting program input using the three classes, Scanner, BufferedReader, and JOptionPane. I will create separate programs for each of the classes. Let's start with the Scanner class. So let's create the class. Let's call it Scanner Demo. Before anything else, let's save it first. So I will save it in my drive D, Java demonstration folder. So I will name this scanner demo.java, and then I'll add the main method. So public static void main string args. So in using the scanner class, we are required to import the package and then the class name. So when you import the package, there is a format to follow. So the format is the keyword import, the package name, dot the class name. So following the format, since scanner belongs to the java.util package, so the import statement would be import java.util.scanner semicolon. So in using scanner, it is required to create an object, or so-called as instantiation. So when you instantiate, there is also a format. So the format is class name, object name equals new. New is a keyword. Constructor, parentheses, and inside the parentheses are parameters, and then semicolon. So I'll put here asterisk because as for the parameters, it can be no parameter at all, or one or two or more parameters. So in our case, in the scanner class, so the instantiation with this would be scanner. Object name, let's name our object input. When we name object name, when we name an object, same as when we name a variable. So it should start with a capital lowercase letter, and it should be a noun. Equals new. As for the constructor name is same as the class name. So scanner. And then the parameter is system.in. Okay? So let's start asking an input. So let's start with an integer. So before, let's put a message here. So let's say, for example, enter integer. So I will use print lang. Okay? The difference between print and then print line, ang print po, ang print line, it will add a new line after um, the text or the string. But if you use print, wala po siyang ina-add na new line sa dulo. Okay? So, bale, yung input nyo is in line with the message. Okay? So, later makikita nyo po yan. So, to ask an input of type integer, so I'll declare first a variable that will hold our input. So, integer equals, to ask an integer input, we will use the object name to call the specific method of the scanner. So input dot next So since we will ask for integer, next int. Okay? So if you use any name for your scanner object, so let's say for example you use x. So when you use it in calling the method next int, so dapat x din yung gagamitin nyo dito. X.nextInt. Okay? So ibalik ko lang, input na lang. So after asking an input, let's print the value using print line. So integer equals integer. Okay? Sige, let's try to compile and run our program. So since nakasave yung program ko sa letter drive D, this colon and then cd Java demonstration, Java C scanner demo, Java scanner demo to run the program. So let's input an integer here, for example 12. Okay, so successfully nakuha niya yung input natin na 12. Okay, next let's ask naman an input floating point. So system.out, naglagay din po tayo ng message dito. Let's use print ulit. And then let's put a new line here. So enter floating point. Let's use double. So pangalanan natin na floating point. So input dot next double. So since double yung kailangan natin dito, we will use this method next double. And then we output system.out.print line. So our floating point is equal to floating point. So whatever the user will input dito sa floating point, i-output natin yan dito. So before we compile and run, let's add another code here asking for boolean naman. So system.out.print enter boolean. So let's declare a boolean variable here. Let's call it result. So input.next boolean. And then let's output the value. So boolean equals result. Okay? Okay, so let's compile and run. So Java C scanner demo.java Java scanner demo. So enter integer 12. For floating point, example 23.1. And for boolean, let's try true. Okay, so far working yung pag-ask ng input. So remember when asking for numerical inputs like integer and then floating point plus the boolean, the method would be next and then the data type. Okay, so if you will ask for long, next long, for byte, next byte, for float, next float, for short, next short. Okay, so para dun sa apat na data type under integer, ganun din po. For floating point naman ganun din. Yung double and then float plus yung boolean. Nagkakaiba lang when you ask for string. Okay? So for string, system.out, let's put a message here. So enter string. So let's declare string str equals input dot next, and then let's output the string. So string equals str. Isabay na po natin yung car. So system.out.print enter character. So in asking, let's declare muna character. So let's call it letter or character na lang. Character. So input dot next dot car at 0. And then we output system dot out dot print line character is equal to character. Okay? So let's try this. Let's compile and run. Integer 12, floating point 34.7, boolean false, string hello, character, let's say for example E. So far working. Okay? Sige, let's try to run it again. 45 floating point for boolean, let's say for example true, string. Let's try to put several words. Okay? So let's say for example sentence like this, hello world with space. Okay? So as you can see here, ang nakuha lang niya is the first word. Okay? So yan po yung gamit ni next. If you use next, it will get only one word of the input. Okay? So if in this case, ganito yung kailangan yung kunin for your input na sentence, words, several words with spaces. So ang kailangan yung gamitin is next line. Okay? Sige, let's try this out. Compile ko lang ulit. Run. So 12. 78.1. False. Okay. So at this point, nagka-error siya, di ba? So this is runtime error. So hindi siya nag-ask ng input. Kasi meron pong problem when using next line. So kapag ginamit niyo yung next line, if meron siyang previous na method in asking an input like yung next boolean, okay? So ang kukunin niya na mismo is yung pag-hit niyo ng enter dito sa next. Dito, 'di ba? Mag-input kayo dito false and then enter. The moment you press enter, kukunin na po yun ni next line as your input. So to avoid that, ang solution po dyan is to duplicate yung pag-ask ng input using next line. So, yung unang next line, this line, it will get the new line of the previous input. Ito naman, kukunin na nito yung actual input. Okay? So, gagawin nyo lang to, yung pag-duplicate ng dalawang next line is kapag meron siyang previous na pag-ask ng input. Pero kapag ito yung nasa unahan, no worries. Okay? No worries. Kasi siya naman yung nauuna. Wala siyang makukuhang yung previous na enter. So, let's try this out. To cancel, Control C lang. So, let's compile and then run. So, integer 67, floating point 12.4, boolean true, string. So, let's say for example, hello world. Character K. So, yun. So, nakuha na niya yung input, di ba? Several words with space. So, yan yung gamit ni next line. So, kahit pa napakahaba yung lines of input nyo separated with spaces, next line will get it, okay, as an input. Okay? So, that would be the um, demonstration for the scanner class. Let's proceed with the um, next class, which is the buffered reader. So, sige, let's create another class. Let's call it buffered reader demo. So, let's save it first. So, ganun din dun sa dating file, bufferedreader.java. And then, I'll add the main method. String args. So, in using buffered reader, there are 3 classes na involved. Okay? Si buffered reader, input stream reader, and then IO exception. So, that 3 classes are belongs to the package java.io. So, let's import java.io that buffered reader, import java.io that input stream reader, and then import java.io that IO exception. Okay? So yan. So yan yung tatlong classes na involved in this program in using buffered reader. So actually there is a shortcut in importing several classes under one package. Pwede nyo po itong gamitin, import java.io.asterisk. Okay? So this means all the classes, asterisk means all. So all the classes that belong to java.io will be imported to your program. In your program. It will be imported in your program. So since etong tatlo belongs to java.io, lahat po yan may import using this line of code. So pwede kayo dyan mamili kung ito yung import statements nyo or ito. Okay. So both are valid import statement. Okay? So in using buffered reader, kailangan mag-instantiate ng dalawang object. First is input stream reader. Let's call it input equals new input stream reader, and then the parameter is system.in. Okay? The next one is yung buffered reader. Buffered reader, let's call it data in equals new buffered reader. And then the parameter for the buffered reader is yung ginawa nating object na input stream reader. So, yan yung ilalagay nyo dito inside. Yan. Okay? So, kumbaga, yung object na ginawa nyo for input stream reader, yan yung gagamitin nyo for the buffered reader object. So, in using buffered reader, it is required to create a try and then catch block. Inside that try block, So, ang tawag natin sa try and then catch is exception handling. Okay? So, enter name. So, the purpose of exception handling um, is to catch error. Kung ano man yung error na mag-occur, okay, it will be catched and then can be handled by your program. So, ang parang dito sa loob ng try, yan yung itatry na code. If something happens, that the catch block will catch the error. So, dito tayo mag-ask ng input. So, name. So, eto naman, yung data in naman yung gagamitin natin to ask an input. So, ang method to ask for input is yung readline. So, ito yung gagamitin natin. Data in.readline. Okay? So, dito din natin ilalagay. So, yung program, it will ask for a name. And then, we will output it concatenated by hi. So, whatever the user will input, magko-concat tayo ng hi. And then, yeah. Parang if the user input, if the user input their name, babatiin natin. We will display a greeting. So if an error occur in these lines of code, so yung catch block, it will catch by the catch block. The error will catch by the catch block. IO exception and then system. So you can put lines here to do something. But ang gagawin na lang natin is to output error. Okay? Sige, let's try this out. So Java BufferedReader demo. So far, compilation successful. And then let's run it. Okay, enter name. So for example, my name. Yeah. Hi JP. Okay? So for BufferedReader, hindi siya katulad ng scanner class na you can specify what data type pwede mong i-ask for your user. Sa BufferedReader, all inputs are treated as string. So, lahat po string using readline, yung readline na method. Okay? So, dito, kung ito yung gagamitin nyo, required kayong i-convert yung string into a specific data type. Okay? So, next. Next is the last class, which is yung JOptionPane. Sige, let's declare another class. JOptionPane demo. Sige, let's save it first. .java. Let's add the public, main method, public static void main string args. So JOptionPane naman belongs to javax.swing. JOptionPane. Okay, yan. So this is the package name, javax.swing, and then JOptionPane class. So to ask an input name equals ito yung mag-hold nung input natin, yung name. Same din with BufferedReader, gagawin na lang natin. We will ask for a name. So, yung method to ask an input is show input dialog. So, let's put a message here. Dito yung nilalagay yung message. So, enter name. Okay? And then let's create another string. We will add a message here. We will add a message for the name. So, ganun din dun sa buffered reader. Sabihin natin kung anong name yung ilagay niya. We will send a greetings or display a message. So, to this, you can also display it using a JOptionPane method, which is show message dialog. Null, then message. Okay? Sige, let's try this out. Java JOptionPane demo. Java JOption. So, ang maganda po for JOptionPane is meron na siyang GUI. Ito, dialog. Okay, dyan mo i-input yung pangalan nyo. So, for example, Juan. Okay? Then yan. So, pati yung pag-display nung values, you can do it using a method din ng JOptionPane. Okay? This is the show message dialog. Okay? So, ang maganda po dito sa JOptionPane nga, meron na siyang GUI. So, to ask an input, yan yung method, show input dialog. And to display a message using a dialog box is show message dialog. Okay? So, that's all for this video, and thank you for watching.